Well, we're getting fancy.
Countdown.
Countdown and just all to it. So all kinds of good stuff today. And I am excited about today because I get asked this question. Actually been asked this question for the past 3 years, and it's all about voice search. So that's what we're going to jump in today. So why is it time to talk about voice search? Let me just give you my opinion on why it's time. So that book that Malcolm Gladwell wrote about tipping points,
Mm-hmm.
that things kind of go and kind of generate and things kind of do that, and then all of a sudden you get enough in there that it tips over and then it starts rolling downhill. So that's kind of where we are with voice search. It's been around now probably about, oh gosh, 6 7 years. More and more people are adapting to it. People are starting to do it. So we're really going to talk about uh, that it's time to do it, and some of the ways that you do it and some of the different voice search mechanisms. So we're just going to jump back in. So I know you have one of these awful machines. I don't have one in my home for a reason, but I know you do. So I don't know which one you have, though. Which one do you have, and how do you use it?
Yeah, we have Google Home. So the it's Google Assistant is what they call their voice activation on that system. So we've got um, two. We've got one main hub in the kitchen with a screen on it
Mm-hmm.
that works when we're in the kitchen and when we're in the living room or the TV room, and then we've got uh, another one in by the fireplace in the living room, and then one up in our son's room. And so we use it for all sorts of different things. I mean, we will have an argument or something, and about a fact, and we'll use
Mm-hmm.
Google to tell us what the answer is and solve the argument for us. I use it to control lights. I use it to control music. I use it for we use it for recipes when we're in the kitchen,
Yeah.
timers when someone's cooking something or has something in the oven. We'll use it for a timer. So all sorts of different things. And I'm pretty aware that it probably listens to every word we say, and I'm not planning any government takeovers or violent insurrections or anything like that. So I'm just kind of like, I like the convenience of it more than the technology scares me.
Right.
So I've made my peace with it.
Well, it's actually the government thing and whatnot doesn't even bother me at all. I think I'm kind of like my mother was when it comes to technology. It's like, how much technology do I want to rely on? I mean, that's kind of my thing. But it certainly is not a fearful thing, because if you fear what's going on right now, then you're going to be fearful forever. I mean, let's just face it.
Yeah, there's no turning back.
Yeah, there really isn't. So we're going to get into a couple of things, and if you're really unsure about voice search and why you should be paying attention to it, I want you to pay attention to the next few things we're going to put up here, because these are the stats around voice search. So, Carter, do you mind just going
Yeah.
over these?
Now, keep in mind, you're thinking about this not as a consumer, thinking about getting voice search in your home or Alexa or in your car or your phone or whatever. This is thinking as a business owner about your consumers and how they find you online, right? So voice search, that's what we're really talking about here. So 20% of all internet searches rather, are voice based. Um, that's a significant chunk. 58% of consumers used voice search to find a local business information. I'm not sure what time period that spans. Maybe it's just ever, but 58% is a really big number. And then 40% of adults use voice search daily. So, pretty good signs that it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I just want to stop for a minute and thank Chuck, Mitchell, and Renee for giving us some thumbs up. That's great. Out of that particular three bullet points right there, the one that actually surprised me the most was the 40% of adults use voice search daily. It surprised me a little bit until I thought about Siri as being part of that, because I actually use Siri on my phone uh, way more. I've got an Apple Watch as well, and sometimes my phone and my watch are dueling, trying to figure out who I'm talking to. But you know, when you factor in mobile, I think it even makes more sense that that number really is accurate. Um, so, believe it or not, 1 billion voice searches take place every month. 30% of those searches took place on devices without a screen in 2020. That kind of surprised me. So that eliminates your phones, you know? So there you
It's
go. That's
surprising, but it's not. Like, I mean, the way I use Siri or Google Home is when I'm not in front of my device. Like, if I have my phone in my hand, I'll just as soon go to my browser and type in my search query. If I can't find my phone, or I've left it in the other room, or I've got my hands busy with, a recipe or something like that, then that's when I typically use voice search, because I
mm,
can't, I don't have access to a screen.
yeah. And Renee just put this up, says that she's seeing employees using the voice search on their phones all the time. And Renee, just to ask you really quick, I'm assuming that most of your employees are younger. Is that correct? You don't mind just putting that in, I'd just like to know, because I think that is something that happens more so than a lot of people realize. We have, she said, yep, that's the answer to that. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate that, because I do think that that's really true. That younger people, they're just so acclimated to it. It's like it's almost like they don't even think about it as voice search. They just think about it as search. It's just
There's a
what they do.
cutoff, though. It's kind of weird. I mean, I've got a 15-year-old who never uses uh, Siri to search for something on their phone,
Mm,
and none of his friends do either. So the cutoff seems to be. I mean, it seems to be more millennials,
mm-hmm.
not Gen Z. It seems to be even the older millennials more than the younger millennials that are making use of voice search.
So
But
why is that? Do you know?
um, same reason that that the youngest upcoming members of the world aren't using Facebook is because their parents are using it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's just it. It's like they look at that technology as being a handicap thing. Like, they can type with their thumbs on their phone faster. They can talk anyway. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just don't really use voice search much. Unless, like, the one thing I think that's ubiquitous, and I've seen it reported. I don't know if we'll come up with this statistic in what we're talking about, but just real quickly, voice search around getting directions on your phone when you're in the car already.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be, like, hands down one of the best places for voice search, because it can help you get to a place or find a place while you're in traffic, and you're not supposed to be texting or driving on while you're on your phone. And so um, that's like the main thing that I see, regardless of what their age is. That's the most
Right.
utility use of voice search.
Well, and Renee also put in that her brother is in his 50s and uses it all the time as well. And I do think for those of us, because I don't have those fast text thumbs like, some of the young people do. My granddaughter, man, I mean, she's just,
I can't even see my son's
yeah,
thumbs when he gets going. They're so fast.
yeah. I mean, it's just kind of crazy how quick. I get it. That's the way Riley is, man. I mean, you just can't. It's amazing. Um, but it is one of those things that I think that some of us that are older tend to use it, because quite honestly, I don't like texting. I would rather just talk and Siri read back what I just said and go, okay, send it. It's just easier than trying to text it. You get arthritis in your hands, it gets even worse. So that's the other thing. So that's kind of cool. Well, and then 75% of families in the US will have a smart speaker by 2025. So, what I want to know is, since you have one of these doggone things, do you ever ask Google Home for a service? I mean, I know when you need a plumber, when you need somebody like that, do you ever ask them to do a service, or do you go on your desktop and search?
I ask for restaurants, which I guess qualifies as a service, but
Mhm.
yeah, not so much when I'm looking for home services. I tend to have a just a tried and true way of doing that kind of a search online and doing my research and looking at reviews. And I'm a very visual person when it comes to that kind of search, so I don't really use it that way.
Gotcha. Well, here's Chuck. I guess he's talking about your son is now the old man.
Yeah, he's so Chuck. I told Chuck a story one time about Reagan. Um, he was complaining to me, and I just looked at him and said, "Look, kid, here's a quarter. Go call someone who cares." And he looked at me like, "What? What? That makes no sense to me." I was like, "Oh, you don't even get the reference." I mean, back in the day, there used to be these things on every corner called a payphone, and they used to take a quarter and you put the quarter in, and it gives you a certain amount of time to be able to talk. So when somebody says, "Here's a quarter, call someone who cares," they're basically writing you off. He's like, "Oh, oh,
There
I
it
wouldn't
is.
have guessed that."
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy? So 71 of people who own a smart speaker use it at least once a day. 3 out of 4 smart speaker users use it for local purposes. 28% of consumers contact local businesses after doing a voice search. So my thing is this: these three I put together specifically because I think these are really the most pertinent to local service businesses. To know that at least 71% of anybody that owns one of those is going to use it at least once a day. Now, if you get up in the morning and say, "Hey Google, hey, Siri, hey, I don't know, Cortana's one, there's Alexa, whatever you got, tell me what the weather is," and she tells you what the weather every day, and that's your one time, that's great. But if you understand that 3 out of 4 smart speaker users use it for local purposes. Now, is weather considered local purpose? Maybe, maybe not, you know. But if you know that 28% of consumers are now contacting local businesses after doing a voice search, that to me was the most impactful piece. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to stop right here for just a minute because I'm going to say something and I want people to hear me. How do you maximize your website for voice search? Okay. How do you do that? Anybody know the answer to that? I'm going to tell you because I know the answer to that. You have to write really, really good content on your website. This is one things that when people say, "I just want you to put pretty pictures on my website," and people can figure that out. If they need a this, then they can see the picture of the this. They'll click on it and go over there, and that's all wonderful. But if you know that 28% of your community in your local area is now predisposition to use voice search, isn't it smart to have what they're going to search for on your website? And how do they do that? It's the same search engine optimization practice that we've always had. It makes no difference whether I ask for a plumber, chimney sweep, whatever. If I'm typing it into a search bar, or if I'm asking one of these smart speakers to send that up to me, they're going to look for exactly the same thing. So, that's what you really need to know. And that's one of the reasons that we insist to our clients that we write really good content on the website. So, for people who are worried, am I optimized for this particular technology? I will tell you, if you're our client, the answer is yes. If your website does not have good descriptive um, words and wording on there, then your answer may be no. So you need to really think about that. You want to add anything to that, Carter?
No, that's good. Conversational content. It's content that's well written content today is content that sounds like you're talking to a neighbor or a friend, someone who's knowledgeable about something, who's taking the time to explain things well. And that's the sort of thing that optimizes your site for voice search.
Right. And these are some of the trigger words, the hows, the what's, the best, and the easy. Those are, and there's a whole lot more. Near me could be a trigger word in your area. It could be, tell me who's the best, I don't know, widget maker in my town. Tell me who's the best service company in my town. Tell me who's got the most reviews. That's another trigger word, is reviews. So these are all things that you need to understand, that if you're wanting to really get on top of voice search and figure out, am I optimized for that, then you need to make sure that some of these words are used in your content on the website. And even more so if you can use them in relation to the location that you're in. So I'm in Cottontown, Tennessee. So if I wanted to optimize something for Cottontown, Tennessee, I would say, hey, I'm the best marketing guy in Cottontown, Tennessee, and I would want that on my personal website as a marketing expert. So I'm going to teach you how to do XYZ. You want to know what to do? I will show you how to do it. I will show you what to do it. And it's relatively easy. I just used all those trigger words right there. So those are the kinds of things that you want to do. And if you can tie them to a location, then people who are in that location, Google knows where they are. That's another thing. Google knows where they are. Facebook knows where they are. I mean, these guys all know where we are. So if you want to hide, you got to get rid of all your technology to do it and never use a credit card. So that's my advice if you want to hide. If you're okay, then just know everybody knows where you are. So that's kind of where that sits right there. So hopefully that makes sense. Did I miss anything, Carter?
I don't think so. I'm fascinated by just how much, like more and more the companies that are doing voice search and making that available, how aware they are of the way that people use the service. I mean, the data that they have for how people find their services, their voice search services useful, and the way that they're building more and more tools and skills and things for those services to be able to do more for the consumer. And I mean, it's not beyond. I mean, it's coming. It's going to be, just probably somebody out there's already figured it out. How to sit in your living room and say, "Hey Alexa, please go mow my yard," and Alexa tells the robotic mower in your garage to fire up, tells your garage door to open, and off it goes until it's done, and then reports back to you that the yard's mowed. I mean, it's just the utility of it is really pretty great. And Google is getting better and better. And I know you've seen this too. Mm-hmm. The anticipation of what somebody means when they speak, when they ask a question or when they tell Google something that they're looking for, Google's ability to interpret that and provide relevant results is really nothing short of mind reading. I mean, it's sometimes I listen to my mom use it. Mom is 74 years old, and she will use Siri on her phone, and I'm like, oh, Mom, Siri's not going to understand what you're talking about, and then it comes back with an answer that's actually pretty relevant. I'm like, wow, okay, cool.
Well, I'm still waiting on Siri to understand the South in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, for whatever. Yeah. It is getting better, but it is tough sometimes when you ask a question and you get some random, like, what did you, the one that has, I know everybody's got a story about this, but every time I say good, Siri thinks I'm saying God. And so it's crazy how many religious stuff I get back when I say, find a good restaurant. What? What am I? It's like, find a good church. I don't know.
That's
It's kind of
great.
crazy. But that's my problem.
Well,
So here's the bottom line. It's not going anywhere. It's
no,
not
it's
a
not.
passing trend. It's not like Clubhouse. I heard a guy this morning talk. He was the biggest Clubhouse guy in Italy for the whole 3 months that Clubhouse was a big deal. And then it just died. So I thought that was interesting. It's like, well, voice search is not Clubhouse. So I'll just tell you guys, it's here to stay. It's not a passing trend. Make sure you are optimized, that your websites, the things that you need to have optimized, are optimized so that it picks up when somebody searches for you by voice. And that's basically the bottom line.
Yep.
So if you missed this or you just want a refresher, you can always do that, because Spark Live can now be found as a podcast on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite player. So what are we going to do next week, Carter? You know?
We are going to be talking about.
There you go. You know what? This thing keeps doing that. This is the second week that I have changed that sucker, and it has given me the wrong thing. So hold on just a minute.
We're talking about SERP position 0 and how do you get there?
We are going to talk about this. I do not know why that didn't save, because I made sure that did that. So what is SERP position 0 and how do you get there? So just a quick deal. The search position that is in the 0 position is the one that comes up, and you've all seen it. It's got a box and it kind of tells you what it is, and then the search starts below it. So people want to know, how do I get in that position 0? So that's what that is. See, you guys are here today. You got a little bit of a quick start to what we're going to do next week. So guys, any questions about voice search? All right. Then we are right at about 23 minutes. We did good.
Hey, Google, end the broadcast.
Oh, I'm Google today. Bye, guys.